Hi, so in this video I wanted to talk a bit about how the Final Fantasy VII Remake made me enjoy linear storytelling again. I had FF7 Remake integrated in my Steam library because I had bought it a long time ago, but I never actually sat down to play it, so it had probably been there for like maybe the last 2 to 3 years. Before that, the only Final Fantasy games that I had played were Final Fantasy Dissidia and Crystal Chronicles, which are a little bit different from the norm, so you can already tell that my knowledge and my experience with the Final Fantasy franchise is not the greatest. I wanted to play it though because I thought Cloud was an interesting character. I liked his design in Dissidia. I also really liked his design in Smash Bros. Ultimate. So after I had played through a couple of other games, I told myself to sit down and just play through the game and just see what journey it was going to take me on. In a sense, I had to tell myself to let the game guide me and take me on this adventure that I wasn't too familiar with, and experience the world and the characters just for the sake of it and just see what happens. No checklist, no side distractions, maybe a few side quests here and there as they popped up, but just to follow the story, see where it leads me, and experience it for what it is. It reminded me of picking up a book that I've been meaning to read and just letting myself take the time and the space to just take in the story. That's my intention with this video, and is to talk about how the FF7 Remake made me enjoy linear storytelling again. So in this opening, I want to talk a little bit more about the burnout of just the modern game. So gaming nowadays feels like endless content, so there's a lot of open worlds, checklist, live service that just add on top of the experience already. There's this feeling of grinding aimlessly, always trying to make progress. Somewhere along the line, gaming stopped feeling like an experience for me, and it just felt like it was just grinding after grinding after grinding. And so when I was looking through my backlog, I looked at FF7 Remake, and I decided to just play it, and it was going to be the game that was going to let me just take a step back, slow down with my gaming, and just return to something that was made with intention of just making you part of the story. My experience playing through the FF7 Remake. So I'll say that the game started out pretty slow for me. I wasn't really excited about the really slow scenes, and I'll be honest, I was pretty content that the game had a 1.5x feature to just move forward in the game. So I did press it a few times here and there. The last example I can think of is when I played Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time, and the game started pretty slow, and it was going to take a little bit to get to the action, so I knew that I just had to force myself to go through it and just play it out. But eventually that game became amazing. It's definitely one of the best games I've ever played. So let me just go back to FF7 Remake now. I don't know a single thing about the story of Final Fantasy VII, so all of this stuff was new to me. I know parts of the story from spoilers over the years and the original game, but I still didn't really have a clue of what I was getting myself into. I will say it was the first time I didn't have to worry about optimizing routes in a while, and I didn't feel the need to look stuff up when it came to the game. And that's a habit I've been having since I played through From Software games, as well as other Metroidvanias like Hollow Knight. It's a habit that I haven't really let go of, especially when I play a lot of games with open worlds and it's not really clear what the pathway is. But for this game, I only really had to follow where the game was taking me, and if there were enemies along the way, I just knew that was where the game wanted me to go. It actually helped me to focus a bit more on the gameplay and the story itself. Now, speaking of the story, I grew to really enjoy that part of the game. As I mentioned, it started off slow for me at first, and in the beginning, I thought Cloud's stoic nature was pretty cool, but after a certain point, it became unbearable. Like, dude, show some emotion for once. Especially when there were moments where, like, a character would be like, yo, give me 5, and he's just, like, standing there, like, yeah, so but over time, and that was also part of the story too, his development, that was part of the story as well, of just seeing his character just show more and more of himself over time, and it led to some unexpected moments. Like, one of my favorite scenes in the entire game, it's a minor spoiler, but it was a honeybee dance scene, just seeing him just dance it out, have these moves that I wasn't expecting him to have, like, it was just beautiful. Like, one of my favorite moments just in gaming in general. And then there's other moments throughout the story that are really good and really show a lot of emotional weight in the story, such as the collapsing Sector 7 played and the destruction that caused and the aftermath of all that. The characters and feelings and emotions as you're taken on this journey to try to do something about it. The climb up to the Shinra building. And just, this game just looks amazing in general. It just looks great. Now, I know I mentioned Cloud's character change, but I also had my own personal biases towards all the characters. And as I played through the game, it all changed the way I felt about each and every one of the characters over time. I didn't care too much about Jessie as a character, and then you learn about what happened to her father working at a Maka reactor, and I was like, well dang, that's tragic. I thought Barrett was kind of this big hulking tough guy who's so set on fighting for the cause, but he's actually just a very sweet, loving father figure under all that exterior. And then including Everett's reactions with the cast, just seeing her interact with the characters, interact with Tifa, and just her causing Cloud's emotions to change throughout the story. I ended up caring a lot about the characters at the end of the story, and it made me curious to see where the story continues in Rebirth, which is a game I wishlisted right after I beat this game. So I trusted that the game was going to take me on a journey and that the creators of this game would make that journey enjoyable. It was more than enough for me to just let the story take me and play along and react as I saw fit in the coming moments of the game. It's like a book. I don't know what the author is going to write in the next chapter, but hey, I'll follow along. I gotten used to controlling every part of the experience that I forgot what it felt like to be led in a game. To simply experience the game without having to optimize, without having to grind, min-max, without having to be perfect and then get lost in the side content. There's a time and a place, of course, for those things, of course. But I needed to remind myself that I can also just play linearly. Conclusion, why this matters. So less freedom in a game can sometimes mean more meaning you gain out of the story and its characters. This inspired me to pick up more story-driven games, and it led me to play games like Persona 5 Royale, which I ended up beating right after this game, and it took me a long time, but I ended up loving that game so much, and it became one of my favorite games of all time. But I think FF7 allowed me to just be okay with letting the story take its course. And I'll play through the story as it goes. If there are other Final Fantasy recommendations you have, I would be happy to check those out, because this game also made me interested in the world of Final Fantasy. So, in a world filled with infinite content, endless exploring, and scrolling away on our phones, the most freeing thing we can do is let the story choose for us. And that's where linear story games can really let us experience that. Alright, thank you for watching. Bye.